choose to register because you want to do something on one, but you're never that excited about it.
The one drop that can. I was talking a little bit about Jeskai Oculus, the important Oculus, the texture against creatures versus against sweepers. On this token side, we see Gwendolyn with 2 Day of Judgment and 2 Sunfall in the main, so that's going to be scary stuff for Comminos.
A lot of temporary lockdown as well in the main deck. So we see the triple 1-drop start, which for Comminos normally looks incredible. Post-board, there are a lot of hammers out of Thompson's deck.
Right. Yeah, on the play, applying the pressure makes sense. This could be really scary into a lockdown.
All right, well, here's a carrot cake bringing its first rabbit friend. It's just so wholesome. I can't get over it.
Yeah, carrot cake gaining 3 life. Would you believe I have lost to that
Yes.
a fair amount of time?
I played a lot of this card in Bloomburrow Limited internally and really love it.
Yeah, I like these. Very, very fun card, too.
All right, so we're going to see a map get cracked for Comminos. We see that Steam Core Scholar on top, and then first into the graveyard, Mako gets a counter.
Little telling that the white source was tapped for this. It does not look like we're running into a helping hand immediately. Still possible with another land.
And this just speaks to basically being an Izzet deck with a white card.
Right.
Ooh, we see a very fast chump block from Gwen in front of the Mako. Spyglass Siren does get a point on Thompson, falling to 18.
Yeah, love that block from Thompson. Whether it's lockdown now or sweeper later, that token's not doing anything, right? Thompson is not trying to be the beatdown in this matchup.
All right, lay down arms, goes after the Mako. Something that's fallen off a bit, but when it does show up, it's really impressive.
Yeah, if you can convince yourself to play enough planes, it is just a really clean 1-mana removal spell, and that exiling a big deal against these helping hand deck. So there is the helping hand from Comminos now on the following turn.
All right, Scholar comes back tapped. Comminos picks up a couple cards, puts one Oculus down in the graveyard.
That tracks.
Counter on the Mako. Land number 3, which I think was missed last turn.
Yes.
All right, Carrot Cake gets sacrificed. Thompson gains some life. Going to do a little bit scrying, a little bit of make a chump blocker.
There was a chump block last turn. You kind of expect it again this turn.
Yeah, if you're doing it in response to the attack declare, you got to assume that what Gwen is really trying to use that card to do is give her the time to hit land drops. Ooh, okay, so an impended Overlord of the Mistmars meets Disdainful Stroke in from Comminos' sideboard.
I definitely like that play from Thompson. You know, even if she has access to a Day of Judgment, it's not necessarily the one that you want to have countered, right? The Overlord represents blockers, but the material so far has just been using to chump block, you know? Those ones are more valuable. They do have 2 power and they fly.
Ooh, this is just an attack for 5 from Comminos. No land drop, no other spell. Troubling if you're in the I want to tap all my lands for 1 spell every turn deck.
It's troubling, you know, that this Disable Stroke was cast. You got to believe there's more of the same coming from that.
Okay, Beza, not bad.
Another reason to chump block aggressively.
Right, so that's Beza the Bounding Spring doing a bunch of the pieces of timely reinforcements as it enters the battlefield trigger. So that's going to be a little bit of life gain, a little bit of make some fish, maybe a little bit of draw a card. Oh, it looks like the trigger's on the stack. So some of this could end up being impacted. All right, so get lost on the Beza itself means that Comminos has 3 cards to Thompson's 3 cards. So no little bit of card draw, just a little bit of life gain and fish.
Yeah, makes sense. It's also only so many things that you're going to use that get lost on.
All right, gonna go ahead, see Gwen sacrifice one of the maps that the get lost gave her. Draws a land.
Got the card anyway.
Yeah, not bad, not bad.
You also definitely want to aggressively use these maps. I mean, just in general, the map token is something you want to get going, but it makes a lot of sense for your temporary lockdown deck.
All right, here's Tersa Light Shatter from Comminos.
Yeah, once again, using the white mana aggressively. At this point, it makes a ton of sense because Comminos just does not want to overextend that much further into a sweeper.
All right, couple chump blocks, and 3 comes across, really showing how good this mono white deck is at sludging the game up.
Life total still high for
Right.
Thompson.
Comminos, save 1 turn, has cast a new creature and attacked with it every turn of the game.
Yeah.
All right, here's that Day of Judgment.
With 2 back for a potential Spell Pierce.
And, you know, for some people, that still counters the card.
Wouldn't stop me.
All right, back over to Comminos, gonna untap. Oh, Chandra.
That's a good one.
Ooh, sliding onto the battlefield. That is Chandra Spark Hunter. Not bad. Gonna go ahead, create a vehicle. Chandra, gonna get on the cycle.
Chandra representing turn-over-turn value and also being a card that is not vulnerable to Day of Judgment.
Yes.
Not fully vulnerable to Sunfall. You know, there's a little bit more going on in that equation, but it's pretty good against Sunfall too.
All right, well, it looks like Gwen has some haymakers in Caretaker's Talent into another Impended Overlord.
Okay, Chandra's a little bit vulnerable against this too.
Yeah, no, those, that is a lot of mana worth of development. We're going to see a card drawn for the Caretaker's Talent.
It is 4 power flying right away from the Overlord. You get that talent up to level 3.
Woo. Woo.
You got yourself a stew going.
Oh, yeah.
Carrot
More
cake
of a
and
carrot
rabbit
cake.
stew.
Yeah, oh, we were so close. So close. Overlord of the Mistmore is one of the cards that has been really surprising and encouraging to see show up at the clip that it has. It's hard to put a 4-mana card in your deck, and it is also really hard to put a 7-mana card into your deck. So having a card where that is the modality is pretty interesting.
Absolutely. It adds a lot of texture to the format, and a huge factor in that, you cannot spell pierce your way out of an Overlord.
All right, so we're going to go ahead, see Chandra crew up a vehicle. Gwen takes the trade.
Yeah, in general, we've seen Gwen consistently, aggressively just block and trade material, and you don't want to get that low.
Whenever you have a Caretaker's Talent, Fountain Port just gets supercharged.
Yeah. Yeah, the turn-over-turn value on Caretaker's Talent, like Comminos is going to see a lot of cards.
Yes.
And can recur a lot of cards, generate value, but the talent just does that every turn with all of Thompson's cards.
Mm-hmm. And you can see Comminos just kind of having the moment of, and that, oh, no, it does that too. Okay.
And it's still in play, I've noticed.
Yeah, right. Yeah, only 2 cards in Comminos' hand. As we go back to Gwen untapping.
There's a little bit of access to Destroy Evil in Comminos' 75, and there'd be some incentive to go after a card like Talent there. You probably want some access to that or this lure into the 3rd path on the board.
Okay, so we see Destroy Evil go after Caretaker's Talent when Gwen goes to level it up.
Finally, a positive exchange.
4 more mana, another Beza, bringing a little bit of life and a little bit of, there is a 4/5 on the table.
It's one of those games where it's got a lot of text, but 4/5.
Listen,
You figure it out.
mythic rares with the word elk on them do not mess around.
Pretty good track record.
Listen, if you want to, among oddly specific classes of cards, it's punching above its weight class.
That's a really specific and safe statement, but you are not wrong.
That is a mild take. that is a salsa everyone at the table can enjoy. That is
appropriate for my home state of Minnesota.
all right. So we see map get cracked, target Beza, get lost on top. Gwen likes what she sees, passes back 5/6 Beza, and Overlord down to 2 counters. And Prof's Eidetic Memory finally making its way into the feature match area this round.
You definitely got to have to get some counters on your creatures to be attacking into this 5/6 Beza. So that's going to combine decently with this Chandra Spark Hunter. However, we're getting to the point where Thompson can just attack down the Chandra. That's not going to be a problem.
All right, so we're seeing Gwen go ahead, finish off Chandra with Beza and a Moth. An insect, excuse me.
Thank you.
Back to Comminos.
That's interesting, because Magic just has moths. Kabuto moth. My favorite moth.
All right, Loran comes down, deals with the impending Overlord.
That's a positive exchange.
Right, I mean, that is one of the sort of questions that Comminos has to answer at this point. The next one is, how do you deal with 2 fish a turn from Gwen? If she never draws another spell, can you beat 2 fish?
Can you beat 5/6? Right? Like, the battlefield's already tough, and the fountain ports are going to work.
All right, so this is 5, 6, 7, 8 coming across. Comminos about to take damage, but this is kind of a fast clock.
How often have you found yourself asking the question, do I want to trade my 2/1 with 1/1 fish?
Oof.
It's tough.
Go fish on that one, buddy. That's
The answer is no, I don't want to.
no. No.
The question is more, am I going to?
Ooh, Sunken Citadel coming down for Gwen. I love that card.
That's a nice one. Gonna help out with these fountain ports, too.
All right, Comminos tapping Loran, so both players draw a card.
A synergy with Prophetic Memory.
Not bad. You do what you got to do at this point.
It is, in fact, not bad. I think Comminos is in the territory of needing something good, possibly great.
All right, so we have reached the point where there is a die on top of the fish to represent how large the school is.
That's not a good sign.
Well, for Comminos.
Correct, yes.
Ooh, Fountain Port number 3 has hit the battlefield. And it looks like fishes 1 through 3 hit the red zone with Beza and the insect.
And we're getting to the we're about to enter the stage of the game where there are 2 stacks of fish, each with a die on them. That becomes a really good sign for Thompson, really bad sign for Comminos.
Ooh, and I believe that's a rest in peace coming down for Gwen.
Yep.
And a carrot cake. Yes, the hand comes across for Bill Comminos. Gwen Thompson with mono-white tokens looking really good against the field, advancing to 3-0.